The following is a hockey podcast out of Vancouver and Surrey, British Columbia. It'll only consist of a lot of puck talk and even more BS, or in actual words, banter and satire. Enjoy, and as always, go Canucks go.
Patrick Allvin, the man doesn't sleep, and neither do we.
You're Locked On Canucks, your daily podcast on the Vancouver Canucks, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to an abbreviated episode of Locked On Canucks. My name is Trevor Beggs, co-host of Locked On Canucks, and as always, I'm joined by my co-host, Kyle Bowen, because guess what? The Chaos Giraffe, once chastised in this market, became beloved again. God, you gotta love a good underdog story. And are you loving this story, Kyle? Tyler Myers signing a 3-year deal worth $3 million per season. Kyle, your initial thoughts on Patrick Allvin not letting us go without 90 minutes without recording a show.
Yeah, what's going on here? I wonder how badly they needed the Mikheyev thing to go down, right? Because everything is really, really happening. Now, Beggsy, you know how I feel on Tyler Myers, right? I just heard Bick on Sportsnet 650, right? I was at Safeway, I bought some turkey, right? Making sandwiches, doing my thing, 31 and a half years old. Okay, I'm not trying to spend money on food all the time, okay, Beggsy? Learned that lesson from you. Who are you? You're a financial advisor. Okay, you're that guy. So I'm out in Safeway. Next thing you know, I get the text from Bondi. Who's Bondi? The guy who built Locked On Canucks, okay? He says Myers. He says Myers. He says Myers is signed for 3 years at $3 million per. And my immediate reaction is, ugh. And then I go on the radio and Bick's talking about, look at the game in Nashville, game 6. He's on the ice. He's flailing around. He's blocking shots, being the Chaos Draft, blah, blah, blah. I'm paraphrasing, but that's the energy, right? And I'm thinking to myself, a big reason why I'm not in love with keeping Myers more is because this organization and Talkit love using this guy a lot. Like, whether you're trying to weather down his minutes or not, it's like when the going gets tough and it's the end of the game, let's use Tyler Myers. And I'm not sure if that's the recipe. Because, again, this guy on paper and on the ice, it's like a gazelle. Like, oh, this is hockey. This is hockey. This dude's hockey. And the chaos for me is something that he's cleaned up, but I could have lived without. You know what I'm saying? And I would have been interested to see who else they could have got to, I don't know, just bring in and elevate Carson Soucy if, this signing means that those two are going to play together forever.
Yeah, I think really the way I look at the signing is I expect the Canucks to do something else in terms of bringing in another right shot defenseman. And maybe that's the Zadorov playing on his offside, because if the Canucks truly are going to pay Nikita Zadorov here, and hey, just for the update, the Canucks got about $15.5 million in cap space, according to my calculations. And that means they got to sign a backup goalie, a top 6 winger, and another top 4 defenseman. So they got some work to do here. But when I look at what's going to happen after this deal, and I know I'm jumping right out of Myers to what's next, but for me, Myers right now, you're paying him $3 million a year. Ideally, you want him on your bottom pairing. So you're paying, $3 million is kind of a high-end bottom pairing defender, which to me is what Myers is. But if you start getting him back into a top 4 role, look, I know he had a better season, but he's also, not to bring up the age, but he's 34 years old. And I know he just had the best season of his career in Vancouver here, but there was pretty bad times there as well. There were some good and bad times in the playoffs. So Kyle, you posed me the question in the group chat. I'm going to bring it up right now. My Tanev at $4.5 million per, or Zadorov at $4.5 million per. Who would you prefer? And I don't think listeners are going to like this, but I'm going with Chris Tanev because I think Chris Tanev would come on a cheaper contract or less term. Yeah, cheaper overall, less term. And I think you need another second pairing right shot defenseman. With Phil Pronik being a number 1 guy. I think you need another second pairing right shot guy to play with Carson Soucy, who I think Carson Soucy you can trust in a top 4 role, but you got to put someone good beside him as well. I just don't want to go into next season seeing Carson Soucy and Tyler Myers as your second pairing. To me, if you're going to win a Stanley Cup, that's not the recipe to do it.
Yeah, look at you, man. Heads all over the place. Did you smoke something before you did this? You're still at work, bro. You just went from Tyler Myers, boom, bam, right to Chris Tanev. That quick. Didn't even hear a segue because it don't matter, okay? We don't need a segue. Everything is happening ASAP with your Vancouver Canucks. Let me answer that question in a couple of minutes. And I didn't ask that question. The philosopher, okay? Uncle Ricky 5000 asked that question, okay? who also just turned himself into an insider too, okay? The world knows Rick Dollywall. We know Ricky, okay? For real. Anyways, Tyler Myers again. You talk about the chaos. You talk about, again, what he is for Susie. You don't want that being a second pairing, all that jazz. Before we continue to just poo-poo on him all the time, you know what I'm saying? Like, I've been harsh on him the whole way through. I kicked him out of the league in October. He shoved it up my rear end, proved me wrong, blah, blah, blah. And I'm still here pissed off. Not pissed off, but just like bored of the Tyler Myers thing with Vancouver. All that being said, right-handed defenseman. We had a good comment that I thought I favored right here. You know, look what this guy's saying. Huge mungus. That's his name. No, say that right. Humongous. My bad.
No, humongous. Yeah, come on.
Humongous. I was like, what's a mungus? Anyways, he's saying, unfortunately, $3 million is pretty good at a discount. Look at the right-handed defenseman market and where he ranks in terms of points. I know he had some trash seasons over the last contract, but recency bias rules that, you know, again, this is a pretty cheap contract for Tyler Myers. So talk about the good and talk about the importance of the whole right-handed thing, right? Because that plays the majority of the reasoning behind him getting signed or him getting paid before Zadorov and like allocating the budget in that order.
Yeah, I mean, I personally think coaches maybe overvalue that a bit too much, the whole righty lefty thing. But you know, in a nutshell, it makes sense. If you're a right shot guy, playing on the right side, it's way easier to get the puck up the boards if you're in those board battles. So there's a bit of a safety net there. I would trust the more skilled guys. Like I would trust a guy like Quentin Hughes on his offside, no doubt. And I think when defensemen are in the offensive zone, it's actually more beneficial to switch sides. But that's going down the rabbit hole. Again, looking at last season, I think Humongous, again, he's talking about his wrench people. Shout out to Humongous in the comments. I think, you know, I'm seeing a lot of different opinions in the comments saying Myers is a steal at $3 million, or why the heck are we signing this guy? And I think kind of Humongous is right in the middle here, despite his humongous wrench. He's right in the middle of opinions here. $3 million is a discount based on what Myers would have gotten on the open market. Look, this guy had almost 30 points last season, playing again in a quasi top four, kind of fifth defenseman role. And again, he plays a premium position as well. He was physical. So I do think Tyler Myers probably could have gotten close to 4 in the open market. So again, you got another guy taking a discount here. And he improved his game last year, right? I think there were some times in the playoffs. There were some times in that penalty kill in the playoffs specifically where I thought Tyler Myers was the best penalty killer on this team. And it didn't happen consistently, but there were moments where I felt that way. There's some good in this deal, but my issue with it is I just didn't want this to be the priority for the Canucks. Like I would have been fine if they, even at Myers coming back at a discount, they decided, you know what, let's go in a different direction. But you know, he makes your bottom pairing better. I just don't want to see him play up in a top 4 role. The Canucks did a good job of that last season for the most part. As it got to playoff time, you saw Myers playing higher in the lineup. So to me,
that's scary.
After this signing, I know it's again all over the place. A lot of people want to bring Zadorov back, but for me, it's find that guy who could be your second pairing right shot defenseman. Again, if it's Zadorov, great. That's where he's just slot in, fine. But I just don't want to see Myers in a top 4 role.
I like what you're doing here. You know, you're bringing up the fact that we locked up Myers first, and then you're adjusting like this whole importance on, Zadorov was cool, but we kind of, theoretically speaking, need Chris Tanev more to round things out, because I'm with you, man. I'm with you. Unless Susie isn't, you know, in the top 4, I do not want to see Carson Susie and Tyler Myers be the second pairing and be the must-play pairing in the playoffs. Like, that's, I just don't want to see that. That's a third pairing role. I could see that. It would kind of bug me that we may not see more from Carson Susie, even though I think there's more there. But at the end of the day, you're onto something, okay? And it's leading up to this question. Uncle Ricky asking this question, right? It's Chris Tanev or Nikita Zadorov. Let us know in the comments. Because now you're making me think. And I'm kind of like 49-51, and I don't know where my answer or where my allegiance stands right now. Man, oh man, the Vancouver Canucks, man. Okay, remember in the beginning of the season, we were so happy? Well, I was so happy because I felt connected to the Canucks, because clearly they were like utilizing or had a strong importance with the players like Niels Höglander and Connor Garland. And I was like, yo, see, size does not matter. Size doesn't matter. Okay? Finally, people understand. And now look at them, man, prioritizing size and size only. And here I am being small. I mean, feeling small.
That's the way it goes, buddy. It's you and I are just small guys at the end of the day, right? And I'm sure that's the primary reason why our girls left us for other girls. But hey, we're here
Oh,
together with the
there you
people
go.
on
You broke
Locked
it
On
down. I
Canucks.
went to therapy for that. That's honestly, bro. Because you know what I'm saying, bro. They have to get to the plastic. That's how small it was. You know what I'm saying? For both of us.
We
Unreal,
we
dude.
can't all be humongous, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Speaking of size, I teased it about 2 hours ago when we wrapped up our last episode. I will tease it for tomorrow, but if the Canucks do lose out on Jake Gensel, I think the trade market might be the way they go to find a top six winger. And I have a deal tomorrow that includes some big bodies, Kyle. Again, apologies to the small guys, but I'm
Damn,
going to bring it
bro.
up on that episode tomorrow of Locked On Canucks. Kyle, I know this is an abbreviated bonus episode. Is there anything that you want to get to, comments you want to get to before
Dude,
we get out of here?
I hate rulers, man. Honestly, I did so bad in elementary school because I actually hated rulers. And high school, I hated rulers. And then I never got into the trades because I hated measuring tapes. You know what I'm saying? That's all I got to say, man. Go Canucks, go. Begsy, I got to get back to work, okay? Come on. Sign us out.
Hey,
Like button, subscribe, Discord in the bio below. Do all those things. One love to you and you and you and you. Shout out to the West Coast Bias. One love to the Don't Do's Art Lab for giving us that West Coast Bias. And yeah, Begsy, sign us out.
Shout out to the everydayers, occasional listeners, first-time listeners, new subscribers, those of you who joined us on the live show on YouTube, whenever you're listening, wherever you're listening, whether you're humongous or a pint-sized Tic Tac, we appreciate you and we love you. We don't discriminate here. Tune in no matter how big or small you are. Again, we're going to talk about draft free agency, trade talk specifically tomorrow. If the Canucks lose out on Jake Gensel, what are the other avenues via trade? Talk about some guys we haven't talked about yet. Let's have some fun with it because, hey, we're always here to have fun. Locked On Canucks. Your Canucks every day. Have some fun, guys and gals. Take care and peace.
That's my motto, man. Size don't matter. Boom, bam. That's life, man. Where's the button, man? Can we stop getting so traumatized on this damn program, man? That's why I didn't use Tinder, okay? Because I'm like, yo, I need to win him over with my spirit and my soul. But, like, Tinder just way to the point, Get what I'm saying? Like size.
You're Locked On Canucks, your daily podcast